Do you ever wonder why you're doing what you do in life? Do you wish that you could be really happy and passionate about what you do? Or maybe you already are and you want to expand in a different direction. Hi, I'm Barbara Ann, host of What the Why? I love what I do. A lot of that has to do with my story, my journey to this point in life. And guess what? Everybody has a story. So please join me for conversations with leaders from all walks of life about what they do, and more importantly, why they do it, how they found their core purpose, their passion, their mission in life. And if you're looking for your own, maybe you'll get some great suggestions on how you too can find your why. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of What the Why, the show that features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured out their purpose. If you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or you feel stuck, you want to get unstuck, whether that's in your job, your company, or even your life, all of our guests have something in common with you. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly or went through some kind of a pivot and they figured things out. And today's guest is no exception. I'm super excited to have Nancy Benet with us today from Florida. She's a licensed CPA, entrepreneur, and CEO of both Fix It Accounting and Success Your Way. So she's actually really a multipreneur. Success Your Way is an online education platform empowering women to start and grow businesses aligned with their deepest desires. Nancy's story is as real as it gets. After a divorce left her with 4 kids, no jobs, and over $650,000 in debt, she had no choice but to rebuild from the ground up. Through resiliency, smart money habits, and mindset shift, she transformed her circumstances and built 2 thriving businesses. Now she's passionate about helping women manifest the lives they want and grow businesses with confidence and clarity. I've been looking forward to this. In fact, I'm so glad we actually were able to expedite her interview. So, without further ado, joining me from Florida by way of the North originally, please join me in welcoming Nancy Benet with a round of applause. So, yay, welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you, Barbara Ann. It's so great to be here. I'm very excited.
And I am so excited. Now, obviously, your bio gives a little bit of information about you and your background, but going all the way back to the very beginning, as we have done from day one, what did little Nancy want to be, or who did she want to be when she was growing up?
That's a funny question because when I was little, I wanted to be a CPA, if you can even imagine such a thing. I didn't know what that was, but my parents were really poor, and their friend was a CPA, and he and his family had this really nice life. So just like everybody else, I wanted the nice life. So I did all the things that you would do when when you have a goal like that. So I get good grades, go to school so you can go to college, so you can get a good job, so you can start a business of your own and have a CPA firm. And it all went really great until I got to the good job part. Whew. But as an entrepreneur, I'm not really good at working for somebody else, and I hated it. I stayed a couple of years in the CPA firm, but I was like, this is not for me. So I jumped ship and I went to work for a client as the corporate controller. And I thought, surely this will be better. I'll be the boss, and I'll be able to like really, set my own schedule and like work things out myself and have some autonomy. But it wasn't better. If anything, it was worse. And so, in my youthful impulsiveness, I ditched my pre planned career goals in favor of being a stay-at-home mom and starting a different kind of business with my husband. And I thought for sure that would be better. I really would be my own boss then, but it wasn't. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a mentor or a coach. I had no concept of how to run a business, and I didn't ask for help. So we failed and failed and failed again, leaving behind a wake of incredible financial destruction. But I was pushed back into the accounting and tax world when I was 45 years old. I was divorced. I was living with my mother. I had no assets, no income, and the $650,000 in debts, plus the four small children to support. So it was kind of ugly. But a contact from church introduced me to this guy that had a very small tax prep firm and wanted to retire. So we go under contract. And I'm like, I'm really bad at this business thing, but maybe if we're buying somebody else's already established business, I can do this. Maybe. I'm really bad at it, but maybe I can learn. Maybe he'll teach me. So we go under contract and I'm working with him a little while and I'm realizing this isn't going to be so great. His clients expected him to cheat the IRS for them. And I couldn't do that. And so I'm red flags are going, bells are ringing in my head. And I'm like, oh, this is no good. But I went forward anyway. And I looked for office space and I signed a 3-year lease. And the day after I signed the lease, lo and behold, he backed out of the agreement and gave the business to his daughter. So there I was with all the other problems. And now I had no clients, which was really turned out to be an incredible opportunity for me. I made a decision that day. I said, I'm going to make this work no matter what. I'm just going to make it work. And that decision was so empowering for me. It opened so many doors for me. I can't even begin to tell you. That was the day I stopped being a victim and I started being an advocate for myself. That's the day I came alive.
Wow.
And it just opened so many doors and led to such an incredible adventure. I can't even describe.
And let's talk about that adventure because, the second question we always ask is, how did you get from there? Because one of the things I have on my LinkedIn is all transformational change starts the same with a choice. And you made a
Mm.
choice.
Yes, I
You
made a
made a
choice.
choice. But that doesn't mean it was easy.
No, it was not easy, but nothing in life worth doing is easy. So I had to, put on my big girl panties and march forward. I didn't have any clients. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I said, I'm going to figure it out. And I'm pretty much the introverted type. And so I used that to my advantage. I said, you know what? I don't want to go to the networking meetings and do the things that normal accountants do to get business. And it was the recession anyway. There were just no new businesses starting. I'm not trying to steal clients from somebody else. That's not my jam either. So I said, I've got to do this completely differently. We're going to have to think completely outside of the box. And that's exactly what I did. We started with marketing to people who had federal tax liens filed in the state of Florida. And that worked. It was like, wow. And it taught us so much. We don't do that anymore. We
Mhm.
do a lot of IRS problem resolution, but we don't do that sort of marketing anymore. We've pivoted to something else that works even better. But it was such a learning experience and it really kept the doors open for many years. And I just think it was one of the better things that ever happened to me. If I had bought that business from that guy that was retiring, we would still be this teeny little bitty tax prep firm. And I would have lost all those clients anyway, because
Mhm.
they wouldn't stay with somebody that's not going to cheat for them.
Yeah.
So it all works out for the best. I live my life with the idea that everything happens for me instead of to me.
That bears repeating.
Yeah.
Let's, you live your life.
With the idea that everything happens for me instead of to me. Everything that happens in my life is for my benefit. And I just have to sit back and watch and let that unfold. And when that expectation is there, it's always true.
Yes. Yes. And when you lead from a place like that, everything becomes an opportunity.
Yes, everything's an opportunity. So I want to talk about opportunity too, because, when we were doing the tax lien work, that would dry up sometimes. Whether Congress couldn't agree on the budget, the IRS would shut down, no liens were filed, our income would dry up. Or we're in Florida, hurricanes would come through, the IRS would stop all lien filings in the entire state. So I had to find a different way to get clients and keep clients. And we settled on a recurring revenue model, which would be like monthly service. At this point, we're doing a lot of CFO, like fractional CFO type service. We
Mm.
also do accounting work and tax, a lot of tax work. But we started with that because that keeps payroll going. That keeps everything flowing in a business all the time, that recurring revenue. It makes the business more valuable. But I was able to do that because of my introverted nature. It was an opportunity for me. Instead of going, trying to meet people and get clients that way, I built our online platform. I built our search engine optimization. I built all that out. And today, even if I turn off ads, I can't stop the phone from ringing. What
Wow.
opportunity is that? It's really cool. Now I'm opening opportunities for other accountants to come work under our brand and feed them work. And it just like is win-win for everybody.
Which is awesome. I mean, really, truly awesome. You know, it's interesting because you almost answered it in some ways, but how did you come up with the name Fix It Accounting?
Well, that was not me, actually. One of my friends came up with that name and he was very adamant and I did not like it. I said, no, it has to be a professional name. All the CPA firms are uppity names, but we weren't a CPA firm back then. I had let go of my CPA license when I was a stay-at-home mom. And
Mm,
I didn't get that back until 2024. So we built this as an accounting firm without that licensing. We had enrolled agent licensing, but not the CPA, which is anyway. So I said no at first, but then I realized that if I was going to go bigger with this, it had to be more than my name. It had to be more than me.
yeah.
And that realization was really um, enlightening, and it helped me build something much bigger than Nancy CPA, if you will. So I'm very grateful for my friend to really push that at me because he was like, "Nope, this is the best name. It's the best name. Go with it." And he was right. And we have done so much with that name. And now actually I've seen somebody copying it.
Oh,
We have
interesting.
trademark. It's a CPA firm around the corner from us. They didn't copy our name, but we call ourselves FIA, FIA, and they have FIA on their sign. I'm like, whoa, but to me, that's the greatest form of flattery. It's a compliment. It is saying we are doing something very, very right.
Mm-hmm. You are. And one of the things I love about it and why I asked is with my background in business development, we used to say your name really should be what you do.
Yeah.
And I've met other entrepreneurs over the years who have gone to change their name from, their name to what it is they do. And so it's actually a really brilliant business marketing strategy. And I imagine one of the many other brilliant strategies you talk about because Success Your Way is also a brilliant name.
I love that. That was born out of me talking to entrepreneurs and teaching them. And I was saying the same things over and over again. And because when you're not born with business skills, right? We come into this world and we have to learn everything. And I heard entrepreneurs over and over again say, "Well, I should know this, but I don't." And they're feeling really bad about not knowing that. And there's no reason for that. You were not born knowing this. You have to
Right.
learn it. And so we put together classes based on that, and we keep adding to it. And it's so much fun. And I find it so helpful to me at this stage of my life to be adding value to somebody else. I think it's so important when we are competent and we've, lived a whole lifetime and have all that knowledge to share it.
Yeah. And for the most part, your target audience is audience that they say we coach the people who are us. And so, um, you know, let's talk about the mission and the objectives behind Success Your Way.
Let's do. It is specifically for women entrepreneurs. And we like the whole midlife awakening concept because that's what happened to me. It's what happened to a lot of my friends. We get to a middle age and wake up one day and we go, wow, this is not where I thought I'd be. This is not really what I wanted. I did all the things that you're supposed to do. Society tells you should do, your family tells you should do. But then one day you're like, nope, I'm ready to do me. I'm ready to figure out what I want and build from there. And that's what we're doing. We're empowering women to build from there because one of the things that happens is when you put resources and money in the hands of women, they do lots of good with it, right? Women feed people. Women nurture people. Women are the ones, the country runs on women. And I'm not trying to discount men because I love men and men are wonderful. And
Mhm.
I truly appreciate their contribution. But women are different. We
Yeah,
just are. And we have that nurturing spirit. And when you give a woman money and resources, your community becomes greater for it.
yeah,
And not
I
give,
agree.
I didn't mean give, I mean empower.
Yeah,
Allow them to get that for themselves and teach them.
yeah. Women do different things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and well, we can see that with Melinda Gates and
Yes.
and
Look at Melinda Gates.
yeah,
Yeah. And
and
Mackenzie Scott too.
yes, yes,
Wow. Incredible women who have
yes.
just done so much for society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that does not in any way discount Warren Buffett. It's
No.
just they do it differently. That's all.
Yeah.
And because no one's a monolith. But yes, it really is fascinating how women navigate the business world in a very different way.
Yes.
And which also does sometimes come with its challenges because there are still to this day systemic barriers out there that
Yes.
can cause hindrances for women. And so how do you, and it can be very disheartening to a woman when you run up against, or anybody, when you run up against some of these barriers and not take it personally, because it's not personal, it's systemic, and that's different. And so, how do you address the overall scope of helping someone find success their way?
Yeah, I think that goes to digging deep inside to figure out what is your way. What do you want with your life? What dreams and goals live in your heart? Because I think we're so programmed by society and all the marketing messages in the family, like of things how we should do it. But so we don't really know what we want necessarily. And one of our courses is a mindset course, and it's really trying to dig down and find out what do you want? What is your purpose in life? Not that you can identify that immediately. It has taken me years to figure out my purpose in life, but you get closer and closer the more you explore.
Yeah.
And I use a tool of journaling to try to get into that because right now, when I first started my journey, my brain was full. It just ran in circles all the time and it just seemed so overwhelming. And so I started journaling, just writing down what was in there. And once I wrote it down, it kind of made it stop twirling so much, calmed it down. And then I
Mhm.
could start thinking about solutions about what a good strategy was or what how I could move forward effectively. Whereas when the loop's going, you can't think of that. And so a lot of the things that we talk about is journaling and trying to get quiet in your heart and figure out what it is that you want. I think that's the first thing because I don't want you to run headlong into doing something in business. I had this client one time, really interesting. They sat at my desk and they said, "We're farmers. We love the land and being a farm and having this farm, but we have jobs and we want to get out of that." And they live like in the middle of nowhere and work at the hospital in their local community, kind of, in a town. And they said, we really want to leave our jobs, but we want to be business owners and we want to be on the farm. So there's this convenience store right near us. It's for sale. We could buy it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's completely opposite of farm life. If you buy a convenience store, you're going to be there 24/7. It's going to be really hard and you're not going to make a lot of money. So I highly recommend you do not do that. But that's the things that, we're grasping at things in our environment to pull us out of whatever we have without really thinking about it. And so I think it's time to be quiet and still and figure things out before you move.
Awesome advice. Yes. If I had a if I had a dollar for all of the different people that were just kind of throwing darts at the dartboard to try and figure out, oh, I'm gonna go. I will share that at one point, on Mondays I would get these calls from people that said things like, everybody loved my pies, and I want to start a bakery, and they've never actually worked in a bakery, or they do want a farm, they've never run a farm. I've
Yeah.
talked, in fact, I worked with a couple that are talking about moving from Jersey to, to another state. They were looking at land, and I'm like, you've never actually done it. It's one thing to visit, it's another thing to decide to go do it. And so, as you walk people through the just the mindset issues around the fear of change and starting a business, but also trying to pepper that with the reality, because so many startup businesses don't succeed.
Yeah.
Help me understand the journey that you take them on as part of that process.
Well, part of it is understanding that your business is not going to replace your income right away. It will not. It just won't. So, either have a spouse that works and can make the bills, live super low, or keep your day job until you can get your business started, right? Because this is really important.
Mhm.
When you've got money pressure on you like that, your brain does not work as well. It won't. It doesn't. You end up in this dark cloud and you're like, oh, and there's so much pressure to perform and to create income. And I don't want you there. And so we want to start small. We want to really figure this out over time before you jump ship and run in. Now, if you're buying a business, that's something different. Buying a business can be a great way to start because, with SBA, you can put 10% down, buy a business, but you're going to want to make sure you've got plenty of training. You've got a team in place around you, like get your accountant, get your attorney, people that can answer your questions and really help you figure out how to do this. Because if you've never run a business before, you do not know what you do not know.
Yes. Yeah. And as someone who worked for the Small Business Administration, there were still things I didn't know. And to your point, my company was a 20-year progress. It just turned 5. I just literally stopped working full time for another job recently.
I love that. That's right. That's exactly how it should be. When I
Hmm.
started mine, it was desperate because it was in the recession and there were no jobs. But today
Yeah.
there's lots of jobs. You can always do something to make money. I
Yeah.
just don't suggest that you go, okay, we're going to make a lot of money here and let's quit our jobs, and because it takes way longer than you think to create the income that you want. But
Yes.
business is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And you
Yeah.
can do well. And I see people go like this with their income. But one of the things is if you don't build a solid foundation of business skills and a solid foundation for this business of the systems inside of the business, if you go like this, it'll fall apart just as fast. But if you take the time to build the systems and build your knowledge, then you can make something that has incredible potential to grow.
Hmm. So true. So true. And now the flip side of that is there are the women who are doing that, and they are grinding it, and they are working 24/7, 7, and they're struggling. And, you know, and there's this perception, yes, when you do eventually leave that full-time job, whatever that job is, you are walking away from something with set hours and potentially benefits depending on what you do, for something that you have to be passionate about and love even when you may not necessarily like it. But there's also still that balance with grinding. So there are a lot of women out there, and others who maybe support some of these women, um, who are watching them struggle in
Yeah.
all these different ways. Um, let's start with the ones who are just going and 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 not taking care of themselves.
Ooh, that's the biggest way to fall into a hole. You
Yeah.
you have to take care of yourself. Your body is the only body you have, and you're gonna have to make sure that your physical health and your mental health are good because if they're not, you're really not going to be any good to anybody else. You have to take care of your own self. Put your oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else. And I think that's true in business too. You have to be in a better space to help other people to do what it is that your business does. And so taking care of yourself is really important. And I know it's super hard, especially when you're starting a business. It is so hard. There are so many things. You're drinking from the fire hose. Um, but I would still say slow down and take time for yourself. Slow down and take time for your journaling because those things are really vital to your success. And one thing I did want to say too is that you can get success by pushing really hard. And that's what our society has taught us that the hustle culture is real and that's what you have to do. But I don't always agree with that because I think if we slow down and go inside and see what our purpose is and what we're supposed to be working on, if something's not working, stop working it. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that really like, oh, you had a setback today. I just mean if it's chronically not working, you're gonna have to figure something else out.
Yeah.
What you're doing is not working. It doesn't mean throw the baby out with the bathwater. It means try a new path. And I've
Yeah.
had to do that many times in my career, in my businesses. But you you're slowing down and listening helps open doors. When you're doing something that's in alignment with your purpose in life, somehow resources just kind of show up. So be on the lookout for that. That is one of the things that I noticed about Fix It Accounting. All my other businesses didn't really have that. When I started Fix It Accounting, it did. And I didn't really recognize it at first. But the further along we went, I was like, yeah, it's gotten really easy for me to just magically procure whatever it is that I want. And it's because I'm in alignment with my purpose in life. And that goes back, I wanted to be a CPA when I was a child. How can that even be? That's just craziness. But it's true. I remember thinking that when I was very small, no idea what that even meant. And so I do know that I'm in alignment with my purpose. I do know because all of the signs point to that because doors open for me every single day when I'm going the
Mhm.
right direction.
Yeah. And which is awesome. And you're right. There is a time, sometimes you really do have to kind of step back and go, is this really working?
Yeah.
Is this really my purpose? And the
And
flip
even if it's
side,
your purpose, if it's not going well, like step back and go, how can I do this more effectively? What's a better way to get to my destination?
yes, agreed. Yes. And on the other extreme, there are those who want to live into their purpose. They know it's their purpose, but the fear of change is still stronger. Even positive change is stronger than the fear of staying the same. And so, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah. So courage is not lack of fear. Courage is acting in the face of fear. And because for me, I just think about it this way. I would much rather live with failure than with regret. I don't want to get to my deathbed and go, I wish I would have done that. I really feel regret that I didn't. Or even when, later in my life, when I maybe at some point decide not to work, I can't see that for myself because I'm very creative and I want to work. I enjoy it. But maybe I don't want to get to that place and go, ooh, you should have done that, Nancy, but now it's too late. And I think if you look at the world through that lens, it gives you more courage to go toward your purpose because it is hard. It is scary to make those decisions. But life can be scary anyway. It's scary to say the same. It's scary to go to a job every day that you hate and that is killing you inside. Why? Yeah, I mean, to me, I would like ditch everything. One of my mottos is I'm going to do stuff because I know that if everything fell apart tomorrow, I could go work at Walmart and live in a van in the parking lot. I would be okay. As long as I got my husband and my dogs, I'm good. I don't have to have all the stuff. And so if that were me, I would pare down. I would learn to live below my means, save my money, and figure out how to do what I want to do.
Awesome. That is so awesome. And I do want to get your last word, but when you mentioned failure, most of our audience knows I train in martial arts, and there's a quote from I think he was the 13th president of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And it starts out, there is no such thing as fail, because fail is first attempt in learning.
That's
And,
right. It is.
and what I'm hearing you say is you had lots of attempts. But
Yeah.
now look at what you're doing, and look at how you're helping people change their lives to do the same, which is so phenomenal. And we want people to know how to find you. So, of course, for those of you who are watching and or listening wherever you are, thank you. All of Nancy's contact information about both companies will be included wherever you're accessing this podcast. But for those who are audio listeners only, and who want to know the best way to get in contact with you, whether it's for Fix It Accounting or for Success Your Way, how is the best way to connect with you?
Follow us on all the socials, of course, and then successyourway.com and fixitaccounting.com. Either way, we respond. We do not leave people hanging, and it's really not intimidating to contact us. I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out. You know, what if they're rejected, or what if it's too expensive, or what if? There's something for you, even if it's free. And if you're trying to start a business or have a business and need some information, successyourway.com is a great place, and fixitaccounting.com is a great place too. And if you call us, we will give you a free consultation.
Awesome. I've been looking forward to this. I'm so glad we were able to, because for our audience, we had to reschedule this. And the fact that we were able to get her back so early is super amazing and very timely, as you know, people are out there trying to navigate this world of entrepreneurship. So, Nancy, thank you so much for being accommodating in really two different ways. And we really appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise and thought leadership with our audience today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Barbara Ann. I truly appreciate it. I so enjoyed talking with you. You're just an amazing human.
Thank you. And ditto. And to all the amazing humans who are watching us, thank you, or listening to us, wherever you're accessing this podcast. Shout out to the person who said you've been watching me from Bangladesh. Love it. Thank you so much. That was really interesting to get. So, but I digress. We really appreciate. There's so many different options out there today. And so the fact that you're taking time with us and our amazing guests, to learn about their journeys, learn from their experiences, gain their wisdom, insights, and advice, it really means a lot to us. So thank you so much. And if you're benefiting from what we're doing, please tell someone else. Share this information so that others can benefit as well. And as we end every show, always remember, whether you're looking to make changes big or small, tune in for more exciting, illuminating, informational, and really inspiring conversations with guests like Nancy, who overcame some seemingly insurmountable odds to not only be successful, but to be successful in finding her purpose and to live it.